Superman not headed in the direction the studio necessarily wants, and the WNBA players shaming fans for asking for autographs. I'm surprised the WNBA even has any fans left. You're live with the guy every day at noon Central, Monday through Friday. I got my producer, Nat.
Hello.
Nat's Nat. Okay, let's go right into Henry Cavill. Can the real Superman please stand up? Henry Cavill, they should bring him back, but they're going in a completely opposite direction. Let's talk about this.
So this is from That Park Place. Reddit mods condemn Snyderverse Superman sabotage campaign that called for spoiler spam and review bombing.
Yeah, so there is a campaign going against the new Superman for what happened with the Snyderverse. They're trying to cancel this movie before it even comes out. Even without this cancellation campaign, I don't know if this movie necessarily would do fantastic to begin with. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay. That's going to work real well on my clip.
Well, I was trying to fix something on the stream. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we're trying to clip the videos now, so we'll see how this kind of goes. But why don't we read a little bit of this article?
The moderators of Our Snyder Cut, the largest fan community dedicated to Zack Snyder's DC films, have issued a statement announcing a recent post that called for Snyderverse fans to sabotage the release of Superman, the first entry in James Gunn's new DC universe.
Yeah, and let's keep going with this because I do know a little bit about this, but let's let the article kind of lay it out for the people.
The post, which circulated across social media earlier this week, encouraged to post spoilers online, flood review sites with negative ratings, and interfere with ticket sales, all in the name of fighting for the Snyderverse. Okay, so you kind of had this cancellation campaign going on, but you already had backlash before this campaign even came out. A lot of people aren't impressed with the new Superman. They're not impressed with the ability for him to fill out the super suit, things like this. And there were a few other things that people had a backlash against, which was the main first trailer. They took out some things that were in that trailer, such as the bobblehead Superman. What do I mean by bobblehead Superman? His head was overly big because of the angle of lens that they used. Yes, that first trailer didn't give a lot of people too much confidence about the movie, but then more came out and some people seemed to be a bit more able to it. They packed the second trailer with every action scene in the movie, and they gave away a lot of the movie in order to kind of avoid storyline and to excite the fans. The second trailer was a lot better than the first one, but man, I don't know. It looks like they're moving away from Americana. That would be truth, justice, and the American way, which the original plot and slogan was of Superman, and they seem to want to make it truth, justice, and the human way. And we got an article about Supergirl here as well. Why don't we go into that? So also from That Park Place, go follow them if you don't, and follow WDW Pro. They're great. So Supergirl movie title streamlined by DC Studios ahead of 2026 release. Yeah, and there's already controversy with this title. Every movie that's having a main female character as the hero seems to be doing extremely bad. Feminism, this over push of feminism over the last 10 years is now experiencing a major backlash. The original title for the Supergirl movie was supposed to be Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, like the ultimate feminist title. And this was obviously written in the era of feminism. If that's the title, I can only imagine what's actually in the movie. The new titling of the movie is just Supergirl, which I think is going to do a lot better, but I think it's going to get canceled either which way. So maybe they could put Superman in the movie and try to have him save it. The fact that they have a new Superman that nobody's really endeared to, even if they do put Superman in here, I don't think it would save the Supergirl movie. This is not looking good for Superman. They wanted to release Superman followed by Supergirl, thinking this was going to be the emergence of the DC universe. DC may get canceled before it even gets its wheels off the ground here. If Superman doesn't do well and then it's followed up by a feminist version of Supergirl, it's really going to hurt the DC franchise. Yes. One way to save Supergirl, I don't know if it's completely shot or not, would be to bring back Henry Cavill. At the time they originally
cast Henry Cavill in Superman, he wasn't endeared to the American people. But since then, he has become endeared. He really stood up for Warhammer and its traditional ways and a lot of different IPs and things like this. I would say the conservative community has really rallied around Henry Cavill. He also used to date Gina Carano. So if I would have paid Henry Cavill whatever he wanted to come back as Superman, because I think at this point, he's actually in that realm of where he could have been a star. Instead of bringing him back and paying him what he wanted, they brought somebody else in. Now, they could just kind of ditch the new Superman and bring Henry Cavill back for Supergirl, and I think it would bring a ton of hype around that movie. What do you think?
They should. I mean, now they're releasing this new one. Maybe they should wait if they do decide to, or do the whole like Spider-Man thing they did. I don't remember what Spider-Man movie it was, but where they brought all the older Spider-Man actors and kind of. But I also hate the multiple universes, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it would be a breath of fresh air if DC just came out and said, we made some mistakes. We were too progressive in the movie. We didn't follow to the traditional plot line of truth, justice, the American way. We should have had Henry Cavill. We're going to rewrite our errors and bring him back as Superman. We're going to start by introducing him in as Supergirl. And I think if they came out with a public statement like that, Supergirl would actually have at least a chance. It's going to be really hard for a superhero that's a female to succeed in today's climate. Okay, let's read a little bit about this article here.
So the change from Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow to just Supergirl was confirmed by DC Studios co-chair James Gunn, signaling a shift towards streamlined branding with the evolving DC universe. In a recent Rolling Stone interview, Gunn explained, "I think it's just called Supergirl now. I'm sick of the superhero title, other name thing." The comment reflects a broader shift in how DC Studios is handling its slate. Earlier this year, Gunn dropped the subtitle from his Superman reboot, originally titled Superman Legacy. The move aimed to streamline the title for clearer branding. The same approach now applies to the Supergirl movie, emphasizing a more streamlined presentation for flagship characters.
I think Superman Legacy, if they actually did make this legacy and view back to the history of Superman, would have been great, but they didn't go in that direction with the movie, so naming it Superman Legacy would have been a bad move. I think in the future, making something that pays homage to the original Supermans would do fairly well. They need to transition DC into traditional superhero movies and not make the same mistake Marvel's been making. Okay, let's go into the final article we have here, and this is going to really encapsulate why I think Superman is kind of headed in the wrong direction and maybe destined for disaster. How's Superman going to save the world if he can't even save his own franchise?
From Deadline, Superman hits tracking with 90 million to 125 million plus US opening. So that's a range.
Okay, so let's get a little bit into this. And I took a little bit of notes. The original projection for Superman, and they were expecting this to be a huge box office success. They thought just attaching James Gunn's name to this film was going to bring enough audience in, and it's just not doing it. The original projections were 140 to 185 million. We've been reporting on this for a long time. Some of the original projections were as high as 200 million, and they were expecting this movie to cap $1 billion, which Lilo and Stitch is even having a hard time doing. I do not see this movie doing it in any way, shape, or form. That being said, the new projection is really around $90 million. I think they're trying to ease that impact by saying 90 to 125 million. I'll be surprised if this thing hits 90 million. There's a mounting backlash on this movie, and kind of how Minecraft had an independent media campaign from TikTok, YouTube, and things like this. There's an independent cancellation coming through the people that really like the Snyder Universe and things like this. Let's read a little bit about the projections in the box office here.
So Superman, the first movie under the new DC Studios, headed by James Gunn and Peter Safran, arrived on tracking with 125 to 145 million outlook on NRG. However, various distribution sources believe the real range for the domestic opening of the Gunn-directed movie is more in the 90 to 125 vicinity.
Hey, let's keep going here.
Because he's a brand name, Superman pops on unaided awareness. That's category where moviegoers pulled automatically cite a movie they want to see without being prodded by a poster.
And let's pause it there. And yeah, Superman is a brand name. And that's the thing with why these studios love comic book movies so much. There's so much merchandise that goes along with it, from shirts to toys. It appeals to adult merchandising as well as children's merchandising. But you have to make a good movie in order for this merchandising to work, and they're just not able to do that. Other movies just don't have the same type of brand merchandising. Let's continue. Oh, do you still got it, or you?
So without being prodded, they answered Superman with a 30 in unaided awareness. It's higher than Top Gun Maverick, but is that the right comp?
Yeah, and I would like to see a campaign of bring Henry Cavill back. For the Superman franchise specifically, that's one way to rewrite their progressive wrongs, I think, and that would signal to the fans and really rally around fans around Superman. I think for the DC Universe to succeed, they have to rally a fan base around Superman specifically. Then they can branch out to Batman. With those two characters, they can potentially revitalize their universe. Even though people don't necessarily want to watch comic book movies, Superman, they need to appeal to an American audience. They need to make this a piece of Americana, harken back to an era before, pay homage to that. Bringing Henry Cavill back and making public statements that they went in the progressively wrong direction would be a change for studios. Studios typically don't want to publicly admit when they're wrong, and they keep doubling down on stupid. Well, that's it for Superman. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Okay. Well, I'm trying to clip some of these segments now. So that was the first clip. So if it seems a little formulaic, forgive me. Okay. The next story is the WNBA. So let me 1 second. Okay. So well, let's go to me and then we'll go to this. Okay. The WNBA backlash against. How am I going to say this?
I don't know.
What is she doing? She
didn't want to
shaming
fans.
fans. The WNBA shaming their own fans. I'm surprised the WNBA even has fans at this point. Let's go right into the article. Okay, let's read the headline here.
So from Dom Lucra, developing WNBA star, Kelsey Plum told fans that were asking for autographs outside her hotel that they were turning her off by waiting for her.
And I was shocked when I seen this clip. I know a lot about the WNBA and about their financials. And some of these WNBA players say the most stupid things. I wish I would have clipped it, but the one WNBA player was saying she doesn't want to get paid the same as the NBA players. That would be ridiculous. We just want to have revenue sharing, meaning they want a percent, meaning she wants a percentage of the profits. The problem with the WNBA, it doesn't make any profits. It actually loses millions of dollars every year. It's completely subsidized by the NBA as an attempt to bring a female audience over to the NBA. It doesn't seem to be working. Caitlin Clark, the recent addition to the WNBA, has been huge. She's made that franchise. It's really the first profitable franchise in WNBA history. The rest of the league still isn't profitable, but they won't embrace Caitlin Clark, and it's a huge mistake. And they're allowing these players to just foul her, beat her up on the court, and everything else. They're trying to get her to bend the knee to this woke propaganda, and she's done it once or twice, I will say. But overall, I really do like Caitlin Clark. She's always nice. She always signs autographs. Maybe I'll tell a quick story about her after we watch this clip. So what Caitlin Clark really represents to the WNBA is the opposite of this girl. Let's play it real quick here.
The bus was right here.
Don't you
Yeah.
find that kind of weird? Low-key? Like low-key, come on.
A little, but
Okay.
I'm
really turned off right now.
I'm just a fan though.
I know, I appreciate that.
You sign one, you put my name on it.
One.
Awesome.
I'll sign one.
That's can I get you on that one?
Yeah.
Keep killing it this year. Appreciate that.
Whichever one.
And this is just kind of crazy. First of all, her saying, I'm really turned off by that. Nobody's trying to turn you on, you freaking lesbian. Like, this is crazy. She should be happy fans are there. And these are obviously super fans. They have all of our cards. They're really being really nice and polite. It's not like they're there doing crazy things, stuff like this. I mean, some of the fans Michael Jackson used to have in these thousands of people outside of these hotels that would stay were somewhat disrespectful and obsessive. He was standing there nice, polite, quietly with his cards and his thing saying, I'm a fan, can you sign it? And she goes, I'm completely turned off by this. I'm completely turned off by her actions. And if the WNBA doesn't begin to address their players and how they're interacting with fans, it's just going to be a further destruction of the WNBA. Now let's talk about somebody that's a lot different, and that's Caitlin Clark. There was a story that emerged maybe about a year ago when she first started kind of getting in the public eye. And that was, she went into a small diner in a small rural town. She sat down for dinner. They couldn't make her something that she ordered because one of their pieces of equipment was down. So she ordered something else. They brought that. She really liked it. She got the owner's information before she left. And then she re-outfitted the entire diner with grills, everything you would kind of need to cook anything somebody wanted. And it was really an endearing story. And really it was the beginning of like me seeing that Caitlin Clark is really the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. Okay, why don't we read a little bit? Did you have anything? Did you have an article? Oh, you didn't have an article.
I didn't find it.
Well, what did you think about her actions?
Well, we see more and more a lot of not just WNBA players, but celebrities in general. There was another incident with a rapper that said right after she met a fan, oh, that was disgusting. Because the fan was asking.
Doja Cat.
Yes, Doja Cat.
And yeah, she played it like it wasn't disgusting and she was completely fine with it. So much as giving him compliments, saying, you smell extremely good, giving him a hug back. Like this new brand of celebrity, if people like just, it's crazy. Maybe I just came from a different era, but I really think fans are the ones that make these IPs, these properties, these sports athletes, these musicians, and people have kind of forgotten that, or these entertainers and sports athletes have forgotten that. At least a large majority of them have.
Yes, without anybody watching them, they lose everything, and they've forgotten to be grateful. They've forgotten gratefulness at all. And yes, I understand someone touching you or like running after you is not the best, but it also comes with the territory. And while these two fans that we were talking about, both Doja Cats and this NBA lady, they were pretty respectful.
No, whoa, don't give her a big compliment. Not NBA lady, WNBA lady.
Oh, sorry, WNBA, Kelsey Plum, that's her name. But yes, I think remembering who got you there and why, and that the rug can get pulled out from under you anytime. I mean, we saw what happened with Rachel Zegler, even though she still thinks she's having some success on Broadway. I mean, she completely lost everything because of her big mouth. Yeah,
and I also think just this particular WNBA player, like a lot of superstars today, are not only disrespectful to their fans, but disrespectful to the country that kind of gave them everything. And we see these athletes taking knees, making public statements on how they hate their government, this and that. And it's just like, maybe they should have a little bit more gratitude. Gratitude is really that secret weapon that will not only potentially bring them happiness, but really endure fans to them. A little bit of humility could go a long way. Well, that's the news of the WNBA for the day. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Thank you. Okay, now those are the only two I wanted to clip for today.
Okay.
So
See how they do.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to do horrible. I got 6 views on my Meghan Markle video. That was just crazy. Okay.
7 now. So go watch that if you haven't watched it and you didn't watch it live.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's keep going here.
So box office. From Deadline, 28 years later, 5.8 million for 28 years later, and Elio at 3 million in previews.
Yeah, and these two movies don't look to be ramping up so well. It was kind of like what I said, though, that 28 years later would kind of be the new movie that is having the most success, but How to Train Your Dragon is going to dominate, and How You Train Your Dragon really came out at the right time because it's going to have multiple weeks of domination because there's nothing that's going to pull from that movie. Potentially Elio was going to be that movie, but it's shaping up to literally be, as the independent media is currently saying, one of Disney's worst animated films. And that's saying a lot because Disney's 100th anniversary, what movie was that? Was that Wish?
Yes.
Wish had previously taken that cake. They're really saying Elio is kind of in the making to be Disney's new worst. That being said, Elio did take $300 million to kind of make, and probably another $300 million in promotions. That's a $600 million movie. It's going to lose a lot of money. 28 years later, on the other hand, was made for a substantially less amount. So it may be able to recoup its money. I really think it will. And I haven't seen a lot of promotion going into 28 years later, other than they're showing a lot of behind the scenes, and they used a lot of innovative techniques with cell phones to make this movie. They're also harkening back to the original 28 Days Later and the innovation that was used to make that film with like low budget cameras and things like that. So I think their marketing strategy is spend less money on marketing, but make it much more authentic. I think it's a good strategy, and other films should really look to what they're doing in the future. Do you have anything to say about Elio, 28 Days Later?
Well, it sounds like Elio is another proof of how how Disney continued to go along the path of firing everybody who was actually capable of doing anything. And this is going to be Pixar's wish because Elio is coming from Pixar. But even with the Lightyear movie that they came out and Turning Red, Seeing Red, I don't even remember what that one was called, the period movie. About a girl getting her period. Those were all also horrible, horrific failures in the storyline. But then they did pretty okay with Inside Out too. I mean, aside from it being a little annoying that they were focusing on anxiety and what was the other one? Embarrassment.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it because
Well, I will say this. I'm looking at the picture, and that's why I started laughing. Is this kid's got a black eye? This movie's going to be another black eye with Disney.
It's an eye patch.
Oh, it's an eye patch?
Yes. Apparently, he wears it for the whole movie.
That's an eye patch? Where's the thing that holds the eye patch on?
Well, it's a cartoon. They don't need it. It's futuristic, I think. It's supposed to be futuristic.
Okay, I could understand that it's an eye patch, but because it looks so much like a black eye, I had literally seen lots of posters for this movie. This entire time, I thought that was a black eye.
No.
If it's futuristic, they should be able to replace the eye, number one. Number two, if they can't replace the eye and they don't need things to hold it on, they should have just put the things to hold it on so people can identify that it's an eye patch. It looks like a kid with a black eye.
I don't know the plot of the movie, so I can't comment on why he has one. But I'll just say Pixar should get back to having hugs and bring back John Lasseter.
Well, Disney is starting to bring people out of retirement who they've previously fired. But the problem is a lot of these people that they fired or let go went to other studios. Other studios were quick to pick up these assets. So it's going to be really hard to bring these people back. And they're going to have to fire a lot of the DEI hires, and there's going to be a backlash from that. The best thing to do was just to eat the cost, never let those people go in the first place, and have them mentor and really teach the new crop or the new generation, even if they are DEI hires, the wisdom of the generation before to really create inbuilt talent. But they failed to do that, and now they're going to suffer on both ends. Can they transition back into bringing these people back that they fired? I don't think it's going to work, but at least it is going in a better direction than they were before. Okay, let's go into Jurassic. How Do You Train Your Dragon Part 2.
So Dragon projected to top 28 years later, Elio at weekend box office.
Yeah, and I kind of already just covered this, but let's read a little bit of the article, and maybe I'll have a little bit of another take here.
So Elio and 28 years later appear to be no match for How to Train Your Dragon, which is projected to keep its #1 spot at this weekend's box office. DreamWorks and Universal Pictures' live-action version of the 2010 animated hit of the same name, How to Train Your Dragon, opened with 84.6 million in ticket sales from 4,356 North American theaters in its opening frame last weekend.
And let's keep going. Go down a little bit.
The film's massive opening tally was more than enough to bump Disney's live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch from the top spot at the box office after 3 weeks. And now it's doubtful if they'll ever get to that billion.
Well, no, I think it's going to hit the billion because just in this last week, it went from 800 million to 856 million. That means it's managing around 56 million. Even if it has another drop off, if it stays for another 4 weeks, it should be able to hit that billion. And I think Disney really wants to hit that billion mark because no movie this year has. And that's going to be huge for the quarterly reports and really take a little bit of pressure off the fact that Disney is having all these failures like Elio.
Heading into its second weekend at the box office, How to Train Your Dragon is projected by Deadline to earn 40 million plus Friday through Sunday. Deadline also forecasts 28 million to 30 million opening for Sony Pictures' horror thriller 28 Years Later and 20 million plus opening for Disney Pixar's animated sci-fi series.
Yeah, and it's not so bad for 28 Years Later because it's a horror audience. It's a rated R movie. It's not in really direct competition and it's not overly budgeted. It's not overly promoted, so it doesn't have to make as much money, and it does have a little bit of hype around it, just enough to kind of push it into profitability, I think. It's not. I don't think it's going to compete with Sinners. Sinners, I still want to see, but Elio, on the other hand, is a highly over budgeted movie, a highly over promoted movie. It has a ton of backlash. It's going to lose a lot of money, and it has 2 major competitors. It still has Lilo and Stitch, which I don't even know if it's going to beat Lilo and Stitch at the box office this weekend. But then it has to compete with How to Train Your Dragon as well. This was really a bad time to release Elio.
There you can see the eye patch a bit better.
It still looks like a black eye to me.
Looks like a plaster, if anything. So the third film in director Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's zombie movie series, 28 Years Later, is opening in 3,300 theaters domestically, but Elio will be playing in 3,750 North American theaters. Who knows if anybody will go see it?
I don't think so. Okay, let's go into Jurassic World now.
Hold on. So from Variety, Jurassic World Rebirth, first reactions range from a soaring triumph to blah. Is it a winner or a string of forgettable scenes?
Well, I said right from the beginning I wasn't impressed by this movie. They're trying to make a remake of the original. They're trying to harken back to that era. That would have been the right move, but you're not harkening back when you're putting the main hero as a female lead. There's a lot of backlash on that right now, even though I do like Scarlett Johansson, and she's probably the best you can do for casting that character. They've cast the wrong person in that role. She should have been the scientist. I don't think the scientist should have been the main character. They should have got the guy they had for the last Jurassic Park.
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, Chris Pratt. Hollywood's really endeared to Chris Pratt right now. Why not bring him in, especially with the cultural shift that's happening? Chris Pratt's one of those people that's not up for cancellation, much like Henry Cavill. Okay, let's read a little bit of this and see what the mainstream media is starting to say, because before anybody said anything about this movie, we watched the trailer at, I think, was it Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
And I was not impressed by the trailer at all. I think it hit all the right notes. It's just, I'm over Jurassic Park, number 1, but number 2, Scarlett Johansson didn't fit the main lead.
So Jurassic World Rebirth has finally been unveiled to members of the film press, and the first reactions on social media appear to be mixed. Positive on the return of the 32-year-old dinosaur franchise. From Rogue One and Godzilla director Gareth Edwards.
Whoa. I'm feeling my age now. 32-year-old franchise? Wow. And I was young at that time, but man, I still remember it coming out. There's a lot of hype on the original Jurassic Park. Okay, let's continue.
It's headlined by Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali. Jurassic World Rebirth is a roaring triumph and perfect entry into the franchise, said Variety's Jazz Tangay wrote on X. Loved all the new dinosaurs, and boy, some are scary. Get ready to fall in love with Dolores. Is that her name? Loved it, or is that the dinosaur's name? Loved it, and what a beautiful homage to the original.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens when Jurassic Park 2 comes out. I don't know how much backlash it's going to have. I think Ballerina recently came out. It had actually a lot of hype behind it. It seemed to have done everything right, including making a good movie, but it had a female lead, and there's such a backlash against feminism in the cultural space right now. Just casting Scarlett Johansson as a masculine female lead may actually be enough to hurt that movie at the box office.
It's not Jurassic World 2. Jurassic Part 2. It's Jurassic World Rebirth.
Okay, whatever it is. Jurassic, we'll just call it.
And Rafa says, hello. So hello, Rafa.
Oh, good to see you. Yeah, if you've seen me at the beginning, I'm trying to clip the videos now. It's weird that I get nervous even trying to clip something, because if it was just a purely live stream, I'd be a lot more cool, calm, and collective, I think.
I still get nervous when I know it's for a clip segment.
Yeah, it's strange. Okay.
So from Deadline, Bob Iger and Willow Bay's Angel City FC has something to say about LA ICE raids as Disney and other studios and most teams stay silent.
Okay, and Disney's finally starting to get the hint, as well as these other studios. Stay away from politics. Even if you want to express your politics, stay out of politics. Now, they need to make their actors, their writers, and everybody else that work for them realize they're going to hurt the studio if they say anything political. Stay away from politics. I think even in these contracts for these actors and things like this, there needs to be something stating you won't talk about politics on social media or anything else, at least until like 3 or 4 months after the movie comes out. Even then, it's a risk, because once it comes to streaming, there might be a backlash.
But it is interesting that Bob Iger, Disney CEO, did decide to say something. But as more ICE raids hit Los Angeles...
Oh, wait, he did decide to say something, you said?
Yes.
Because in the headline, it said he didn't.
No, that he did, but then Disney stayed silent.
I guess Bob Iger is not getting the hint. Also, there was big rumors Bob Iger actually wanted to run for president.
Yeah.
And with the Democratic Party such in shambles, I think maybe he's positioned himself for that.
I think they need to even do better with Newsom.
Yeah, like that's how much in shambles they are right now. I don't know who would do worse, him or Newsom.
Or AOC.
Yeah.
As more ICE raids hit Los Angeles this Juneteenth holiday, the Bob Iger and Willow Bay-owned Angel City FC has taken a stand for immigrants, while most others have remained silent and afraid of the Donald Trump administration. Less than a year after Iger and spouse Bay dropped around $100 million to become the controlling owners in the $250 million valued National Women's Soccer League team, ACFC has come out strong in opposition to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement actions in LA and waved the flag proudly for Immigrant City. While individual stars and showrunners have been vocal in their opposition, in the past few weeks to cruel ICE raids in LA and Trump deploying thousands of troops to the City of Angels. Studios, streamers, social media platforms, many sports teams, and other Hollywood corporations have been quiet as church mice. Today, the feds have swarmed Dodger Stadium, but all Dodgers organization has said so far on the attempted raid at their house is that they didn't let ICE in. However, just days ago, in a move backed by Iger outside of his Disney role, board boss Bay and other Angel City owners such as Eva Longoria, Uzo Aduba, Jessica Chastain, America Ferrera, Jennifer Garner, and Lily Singh, supporter groups, and the players, ACFC printed 10,000 t-shirts with Immigrant City FC on the front and Los Angeles is for everyone on the back in English and Spanish for its June 14th.
Well, we've covered this on our other channel. We actually did a live stream of the No King's Day protest, which wasn't as violent as I thought it would be, but in Portland it did get pretty violent. And the week before that actual protest, the original, I guess, protest, what would you call it? The original protest in LA was extremely violent. They got another No Kings protest called No Kings 2.0 coming up on July 4th. Maybe we'll cover that just because I'm a glutton for punishment. But that being said, this is a non-political show, but I'll go into a little bit of statistics that we go into our night show. So Donald Trump has actually deported the least amount of any modern president. Bill Clinton deported 12.5 million. George Bush after him deported 10.5 million. And then we had Barack Obama, who did 5.5 million. Then we had Trump, who did 1.4 million in his first administration. Then we had Joe Biden, who did 5.5 million. And then Trump in this administration, which is the one he's catching the most heat for, has only deported 136,000, and he's put all the names and criminal records of those people online so people can see. He's very aware of the narrative, and he is really shaping that. Also, he's only deported 136,000 so far, or right around that number, but over 1 million have self-deported. And Trump's self-deportation program has really fared fairly well, meaning he pays, if you want to self-deport, you can go anywhere you want in the world. It doesn't have to be back to your home country. If you want to claim refugee status in Canada, Europe, or another country that will accept you, they'll buy you a free ticket to that place, and they'll give you $1,000 in order to kind of start off in that new country. Okay, let's go back into pop culture. And we got Chris Brown here.
So Chris Brown pleads not guilty. This is from the LA Times. In London nightclub assault case as UK court sets trial date.
Yeah, and I think Chris Brown's in real trouble here. He has quite the reputation, and there's not just reputation and accusations. A lot of evidence have come out on him in the past. It's always been in the U.S., and he's always been on the progressive side, so he's kind of been able to avoid it, had out-of-court non-disclosures signed, made payments, payoffs, things like that. This is in the UK now. The UK's laws are far different than the US, and we'll have to see what happened, but he would fare a lot better if it was happening in the US. So let's read a little bit about it, though.
So Grammy-winning R&B star Chris Brown has pleaded not guilty to one charge connected to his alleged beating of a music producer in a London nightclub in 2023. The Kiss Kiss singer, 36, appeared Friday in London's Southwark Crown Court for his arraignment, where he pleaded not guilty to one count of attempting to unlawfully and maliciously cause grievous bodily harm with intent. Not guilty, ma'am, he responded when he asked how he pleaded to the court.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just have security there? Like you have security when you're at a certain status. And this is why, because even if you can use your security to assault somebody and you just pay for your security to go to court and your name doesn't wind up in the headlines, this is going to tarnish his name, his reputation, his ability to get contracts.
I mean, after what he did to Rihanna.
And not just Rihanna. This guy's been in the headlines for a long time now, and I'm usually very skeptical when people are in the headlines of this is a political prosecution or this is a feminist prosecution, things like this, but too much has kind of come out on this guy. Okay, that being said, I was going to also say we did talk about Andrew Tate a little bit yesterday, and they were trying to smear his name with these. Well, I won't go into the whole story. If you want to see it, watch our live last night. But I did see an interesting clip today. He interviewed the adult star, what's her name, Bonnie Blue, and it was really funny because his social media post, he has his hands like this in front of him. She is trying to get kind of sexualized with him, and then he just kind of fist bumps her like this and goes, "Yep." I think he's learned from the smearing of the past and stuff like that. If you haven't seen the Bonnie Blue Andrew Tate clip, check it out. It's pretty funny. Supposedly that was in promotion of the podcast she's going to be on with him and his brother. So. Okay.
So do you want me to read about what he did or no?
Yeah, you can read a little bit.
The prosecutors accused Brown of attacking music producer Amadou Abe Dia with a bottle of tequila at Tape London nightclub in February 2023. The accusations against Brown echo allegations from a civil lawsuit Dia filed in Los Angeles against the musician in October 2023. He sued Brown for assault and battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress, claiming in court documents that the singer brutally assaulted him by beating him over the head, and then he continued to ruthlessly stomp on him as he lay unconscious on the nightclub floor after the bottle attack.
Yeah, this is going to be hard for him to dispute. It's in a nightclub. There should be video. If there's not video, then he can dispute it. But if there is video, make a settlement early on. Okay, let's go into Fat Joe here. And you didn't know who Fat Joe was?
No.
Maybe Fat Joe's from my time. And there's big connections to Puff Daddy here. Do you know the connections to Puff Daddy?
No.
Okay, so Fat Joe was a smaller version of Big Pun. These were Puerto Rican rappers from New York. Big Pun, I believe, was signed to Diddy's record label. don't quote me on it, but Fat Joe in his own right got very big after Big Pun's passing because he was so connected to him.
Should I read it?
Yeah, let's
So I'm
read
going
it.
to have to use different words, let's just say, because YouTube doesn't like the words of what he did. So Fat Joe sued for $20 million by former hype man in explosive complaint, alleges rapper engaged in adult acts with younger people that are not over the legal age and coerced him into more than 4,000 disgusting acts to maintain his standing. Lawsuit comes after the rapper sued T.A. Dixon in April for slandering him on social media by claiming Fat Joe flew a 16-year-old girl across state lines for disgusting acts.
Okay, maybe you're going to, I don't know about the other accusations outside the main complaint, but if he's saying that he had to participate in 4,000 acts, in order to maintain his standing, there has to be text messages and things like this. This should be easy to prove. If he doesn't have actual factual evidence and it's just his word against his, it's going to be hard to prove. You need factual evidence, just like the Chris Brown case previous to this. There should be nightclub footage. If there's not, it's hard to prove. And I don't think you should be convicting somebody on somebody's testimony alone. I really, especially in this era after the Me Too, even though this isn't a Me Too case, I've really come to the stance you need hard evidence. Okay, let's go into the last article of the day, and that is Judge denies R. Kelly emergency motion to leave prison.
The third disgusting man we're talking about, from the Hollywood Reporter, R. Kelly's request to leave prison for home confinement denied amid alleged unaliving plot.
Then this is crazy. Like, okay, yeah, I first and foremost, I completely believe there's a plot against him in prison. When you go to prison and you have sexual allegations against minors and things, yes, I know I'm not supposed to say that word. Other inmates don't necessarily like you, and you have to be usually put into protective custody. Plus, his status and his fame would have put him in protective custody already. But the other inmates within the prison would definitely be after him for both those reasons. That being said, you can't ask to be released because your life's in danger in prison. Like, that's just crazy. He was convicted, and now he has to serve his time. Just because his life's in danger doesn't mean, I don't even see how he thinks this was the thing that was going to help him out. Let's read about this.
So a federal judge has denied an emergency request from R. Kelly to be released from prison to home confinement. The disgraced music star had sought release from the North Carolina jail amid allegations that prison officials are trying to unalive him in an unaliving for hire scheme. It comes after Kelly was hospitalized last week for an apparent substance overdose. We don't care what his name is. On Thursday, Judge Martha Packold ruled that...
How is he getting a hold of substances in prison as well? That just shows that he's not on good behavior. I understand you can get substances in prison, but you're asking for a complete release, and you're breaking prison rules here. That's just like, one's gonna negate the other, even though his claim that he needs to be released is kind of absurd. Let's continue.
So she ruled that he had brought this recent request to the wrong court and said that she did not have the jurisdiction to make a decision over his claims. Kelly is currently housed at FCI Butner, which is located in Butner, North Carolina, outside this judicial district. She said Kelly has not demonstrated a legal basis for this court's jurisdiction. Accordingly, his emergency motion is denied.
And what kind of lawyers does this guy have? Like, he should have a good lawyer because he was famous for how long. He should be getting royalties still on a lot of his music. Can he not hire a lawyer that can at least file in the proper district? This is a good indication for him to maybe fire that lawyer and find somebody new.
So here's what the lawyer said. Kelly's attorney condemned the decision. We are not surprised by this ruling as we knew that technical jurisdiction would be a challenge under these circumstances, Bill Brindley said. However, we had no choice but to act immediately given the explicit evidence of a threat to Robert Kelly's life. According to the initial filing, the 58-year-old woke up on June 13th with black spots in his vision. He tried to get up but fell to the ground. He then crawled to the door of the cell and lost consciousness, the filing states. The document alleges that prison staff had given him an overdose quantity of medication on June 12th. He was taken to Duke University Hospital. So what they're saying is that
the prison staff is trying to get rid of him. I would assume the inmates are as well, but this is a far reach. Now, I'm not saying it's possibly out of the question.
Well, but that they were being hired by someone to take him out.
Possibly, but that is a pretty far reach, especially if maybe in the court of public opinion you can sell that, but to a judge, that's going to be hard to sell. That's a really hard sell. Okay, well, I think, should we talk about some production equipment here?
Sure.
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
You're the production man.
Well, I'm going to have you pick a piece of equipment and we're going to talk about it.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. Why don't we talk about, let's see here. Well, I have a microphone stand here. So let's talk about microphone stands. Now, we can't see your microphone stand, but why don't you bring one up on your little computer?
Oh, sure.
A standing microphone stand, one that's like this, a desk standing microphone stand, and a mounted microphone stand.
Just whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the picture of that one is good.
I'm waiting for it to.
So the type of microphone stand, because Nat does the show right off to the side. You can't really see her, but she's in a lazy boy recliner, and there's no way to have a microphone stand in front of her or to mount it to the chair. So we have one of these standing microphone stands, and it works fairly well. But really, if she was to be on camera, it's really distracting, and I don't like these standing microphone stands for necessarily that reason. Gavin Newsom on his podcast uses these standing microphone stands, and they are very cumbersome, and they take up a lot of the shot. Go to that first one there. These are the ones we use on our night show, and these are called low-profile microphone stands. And do you have it on screen or no?
I'm trying to get it. There.
Okay, these are did you put the first one up already?
Yes.
Okay, these are low profile microphone stands. I think we have the Elgato one. The Elgato one is really good. These are the best because they don't obstruct the face and everything. We use both of these on our night show. She has a white one. I have a black one. These are the ones I recommend if you have a desk that it can mount to. In this particular desk I have here, it's hard to actually mount a microphone stand because the clamp doesn't actually fit on this type of desk because there's a hollow space in it. So, but if you have a regular desk, this should work. This is usually your best option if you're going to mount on a desk. They do have higher microphone arms that come in, but again, they're very distracting. They take up a lot of the frame. If you're trying to keep them off camera and you just have it come in, it looks really weird. The low profile microphone stands look the most natural and are the least distracting. That's why I really do like these. These were one of the last type of microphone stands we tried. Yeah. I bought a ton of microphone stands for different desks and different situations we were in. Some of them just fell over. Let's go into this desktop microphone stand now and talk about that.
Hold on.
And I actually didn't mind these, but I went through quite a few different iterations of these. Let's go to the second one there.
This one?
Yeah, and then we'll go to just go to the second one. So I actually bought this microphone stand, and these were extremely cheap to buy, but they were the wrong kind. The base, if you have a that's the base of this one. This base actually works fairly well, and it stays out of the way. That particular base easily tips over, so if the microphone's knocked or you're trying to adjust it, it very often falls over. If you get a triangle microphone base, that also falls over a lot. And the triangle microphone base, it's very cumbersome with the setup. I thought that was going to originally be the best. It wasn't. Just the simple round base like I have here, if you're going to have something that goes on top of the desk, this is probably the easiest and the simplest to use. But again, if your desk can mount a low profile microphone stand, they are by far the best.
And Rafa's saying, talk about post-production. Where do you edit? So we use DaVinci Resolve.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this. So I'm glad you actually had a question about this. When we first started coming up, there was Adobe. What's the Adobe one called? Final Cut?
No, that's Mac. Oh, wow. Why did I forget? Because I hate it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Anyway,
what's it called?
Okay, you'll bring it up. We used DaVinci for editing, and we kind of had to make the decision at the beginning. DaVinci and Adobe. What's the name of it?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Why don't you just ask the AI?
Because I don't have an AI.
We never used
Premiere
it.
Pro.
Oh yeah, Premiere Pro. So yeah, DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Pro, they were pretty much equal. Premiere Pro, when I first started out, was maybe a little bit better for amateurs, but because I was trying to make a long-term decision, I looked at the future-proofing capabilities of this, and DaVinci Resolve seemed like the better option. It was just a more professional. It was a little harder to use at the time, but it ended up being the right decision. I hate Adobe now. I can't use Lightroom because it's a monthly subscription and it keeps going up. It's an insane amount of money. With the DaVinci Resolve, it's a better program, number one, but they have a free version, which is fully capable, but it's a one-time fee of, I think, $325 for a lifelong license of the DaVinci, and it is extremely good if you get the paid version. But even the free version, I think, is better than Premiere Pro at this point.
And I mean, because I'm the one that edits right now, but the initial learning curve is a little bit steeper with DaVinci Resolve. There's a lot of things you have to figure out. There's courses, etc., but I just figured it out by Googling things.
Yeah, don't take a bunch of courses. If you do, just take short ones. Every time you need to learn something, use AI or a video from YouTube.
Not always AI, because AI gets it wrong sometimes.
Yeah, but it will teach you the initial skill extremely quickly, and you'll find you don't need everything in the course. You only use 5 to 10% of the things that are actually on these editing platforms.
And honestly, just Googling the actual problem you're having and then just going into the forums and reading people's solutions, because a lot of the times in the courses, they're just teaching you like the actual way to do it. But when you go into and see how people's actual process goes, it's way faster sometimes. And you get a lot of tips just from going into forums and asking the specific question you have.
Yeah, and if you're not editing full-time, like we're editing full-time, so we need a professional editor like a DaVinci Resolve. And if you're trying to choose between DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Pro right here, DaVinci Resolve is the choice. It has a professional sound editor on there, color grader. The color grading doesn't even compare. Even if you don't color grade now, maybe in the future you are. It has a cut page and an editing page. It is just so much more dominant over Adobe now. Adobe is hoping to catch up or having the edge through AI, but as a pure editor right now, DaVinci Resolve, I think, is the best out there. But if you don't need something where you're editing full time and you're just doing a video here or there, oh God, let me see here. What's the editor you use on?
I only use DaVinci.
It's not Luminar. Huh?
What are you looking for? Final Cut? No.
No, there's some app-based editors like CapCut, even though it's Chinese. And
I don't like CapCut.
Yeah, but there's another one that's not. So what I'm just suggesting is if you're just editing one or two, you don't need these. These are actually too much. I would actually not recommend DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro. If you're just trying to do simple videos here or there, just use an app-based editor. I'll have the names of different app-based editors maybe next time. That's what I can talk about. But app-based editors are they can't do as much, but they're quick, easy, and most of the stuff that you can't do on there, you don't need anyway. You can work around it.
Oh, and Fletcher Williams, hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. It says, you're popping a bit, might be a bit hot in the mic, and the mic stand is coming in a bit, might have put a mouse pad under it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And he also says, CapCut is pretty simple to use if you're a first-time creator. Yes, although I try to reject most TikTok Chinese-based apps or systems, but yes, if you don't mind.
There's a really good app, and I can't remember it now. I'm trying to.
And then Rafa says, last video editor I used was Movie Maker.
Well,
I also used to use iMovie when I was younger.
Yeah.
But then Final Cut was too difficult when I was trying to first learn, and then I kind of left it behind. Started using iMovie when I was really young, like before I was even thinking, when I thought I wanted to be a filmmaker and study film. And then when we actually started doing this, I kind of swallowed my pride and started learning DaVinci kind of from scratch. I never took any courses, really. Most of it was just Googling, how do I do this? How do I render faster? How do I fix that all the time? if you've ever used DaVinci Resolve or essentially any editor, that's a bit more difficult to learn whenever it goes media offline. Like, why is my media offline? How do I fix this? The formatting, if you're working on a Mac-based system, DaVinci Resolve is also, there's also a learning curve, and you have to learn how to make your footage look how it actually looked in camera, at least, because you do have to color grade sometimes. Not with all the formats, but some of them. I could go into this.
Also, yeah, the one I would recommend if you're you can use something easy like a CapCut or a simple app-based editor. If you want something a little bit more complex, that's fairly cheap. It's a one-time purchase fee. It's called Luma Fusion. It's kind of that bridge where it's not super simple, but it's not complex like DaVinci Resolve or Adobe either. So it's that nice middle ground to kind of transition into something more complex. It's called Luma Fusion. It works pretty well.
Oh, Fletcher Williams also says Filmora is not too bad and easy to use. Yeah, Filmora too. But again, I kind of from the beginning said I'm just going to learn how to do it.
Yeah, and if you think you're going to edit more and more in the future, just start with the free version of DaVinci Resolve. Once you're making enough videos where you can justify the cost, get the paid version. The paid version has a lot more features and it's a lot quicker. That was the main thing, was for the rendering times and stuff, was the paid version of DaVinci Resolve. Also, if you do just start in DaVinci Resolve, it has, I think, 5 major tabs: color grading, sound editing, the cut page. Just start with the cut page. It's a simple, easy way to kind of learn, and then learn the editing page, and you slowly go on over time from there.
Yeah, media, cut, editing, sound.
Yeah, and
delivery.
Then delivery. Okay, well.
But I mean, with DaVinci, they did announce a while ago that they wanted to bring up more like subscription-based stuff, but I don't know where they went into that.
Yeah, they're bringing in order to have to compete with Adobe, because Adobe's kind of lost the battle. The only way for Adobe to come back is with AI. That's why they're trying to force these pay increases, monthly subscription fees that are going to force AI into the system and force you to pay for it. DaVinci has the free version, the one-time paid version, and now they're going to have a subscription fee if you want the AI features in it, but you're not going to have the AI features if you don't want them. Mm-hmm. Adobe is trying to completely just go force AI upon you.
Yeah, and with DaVinci, they have a lot, when they update, sometimes they do big updates. Right now, they're just updated to the 20. I'm still waiting to update for it, because there are, as with Apple and anything that comes out when it's new, a lot of bugs. So don't update your softwares right away if it's not a security issue.
Yeah, the amount of updates that DaVinci gives, there's no other product I have in this house that gives as many free updates as DaVinci. It's insane, the amount of customer service. And you have to understand, DaVinci Resolve is made by a company called Blackmagic. Blackmagic is actually selling a lot of different hardware, like editing boards, switchers, and things like that. So they really I think they keep the cost of their editing software down. So that's an introduction to that company. So they're hoping you actually grow with them on the hardware side. And that's why they're able to really cut the cost on the editing side, but provide such a superior product to anybody else.
And Rafa says, lifetime paid versions are better. I still use my Office 2017.
Dude, and that's what I'm saying. Even for photo editors, I use Luminar, and I wish I have editing boards and stuff for photo editing for Lightroom and stuff like that. I'm just not willing to pay the monthly subscription fee. It's crazy how much. There was recently an updated fee for the Adobe suite and things like that. And it's just I'm not willing to do it. And they have no option for a one-time perpetual license.
Yeah. And I mean, at the beginning, I did try to go into the Adobe system, but then the whole Creative Cloud thing became incredibly annoying. And then Photoshop, everything started kind of not working as it should. So even for thumbnails now, I used to try to do it in Photoshop, and then when we completely moved away from Adobe completely and left it behind, canceled all the subscriptions, etc. I just use Canva, honestly. And I know there's other ways to do stuff for thumbnails, but honestly, Canva's mostly okay.
Yeah, the way Adobe came up, and I actually knew somebody that was one of the programmers for the original software. It's completely outdated, and it needs to be the programming needs to be written up from the ground up. And this is coming from people inside the company. But they were able to give extremely cheap rates and give the software away for free in the beginning to colleges and universities who would then teach it. They would give discounted rates to the students. So that's how they kind of streamlined their software into everything. Honestly, man, I do like Adobe for photo editing a lot more, but it's just not worth it. I use something called Luminar Neo. It's not as advanced, but if you are a beginning photo editor, Luminar Neo is actually really fun to use and easy to use. It doesn't do quite as much as the Adobe suite, but for what it doesn't do, I'd rather just pay the one-time fee.
And Fletcher Williams says, same, I always wait for updates. Yes. I've been burned before by that. One time I had to export something out and it just didn't work. And then having to downgrade also takes a lot of time. So if you're under a time crunch, like I always am, it's better to just wait till you have a lot of time on a weekend or something to figure out if the thing will work or not, and then be able to downgrade again. Fletcher Williams also says, Adobe Creative Cloud was the death nail in Adobe. It's just not working, lagging like crazy. The lags, the uploading, downloading, it always opens up and also eats up a lot of space.
So this is what I was trying to say. I had an in with somebody with one of the original programmers of that, and they're saying they just kept building on top of it. And the programming needs to be rewritten from the ground up, but that would be a collapse of the company if they did that. So that being said, man, I really hope the mic wasn't popping too much because I'm trying to clip the opening segments. That's why they're a little awkward. I get nervous knowing I'm going to clip. So hopefully the sound was okay.
But thank you for letting us know. Also, it might be just me not monitoring the sound properly.
And I think that's it for today, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to look for the...
And I can go on all day about editing, software, different equipment as well, but I'll try to end it there. Thanks for...
Fletcher Williams... Oh, sorry. We have two more comments.
Yeah.
So Rafa, sorry, I read wrong. It says, I mostly use the poor man's Photoshop GIMP, although I do have Photoshop as a backup. And again, because I didn't want to make it way too hard for myself for thumbnails, I just went for Canva. I don't love their politics. No, I hate their politics. Every time you type in anything that has to do with the alphabet community, a rainbow pops up. So
yeah, and I will.
It's really annoying.
When I originally tried to get off of Adobe for photo editing, because I actually originally started in photos, and my passion is with photos. If you go on my Instagram and stuff, it's like when I used to do a lot of street photography and things like that. But when I originally tried to get off of Photoshop and Lightroom, I tried GIMP, and it's just as complex. Even Photoshop and Lightroom have a big learning curve. GIMP is even harder to kind of learn because it doesn't have as much assistance, but Luminar Neo, or the Luminar brand, is just intuitive, and it's a one-time fee of like $80. I still use it. It's not quite as advanced, but man, it's easy, fun to use, and that's the main thing for if somebody's not a professional photo editor or you're not really trying to sell your photos. I think Luminar Neo does everything, and it's fun to use. Like GIMP's not fun to use. Photoshop, Lightroom aren't fun to use. Luminar Neo is, I understand it's a dumbed down program, but it does a lot of innovative things with the touch of a slider.
Yeah, and we're coming at it from people that kind of self-taught everything we know, basically. I
didn't necessarily self-teach. I bought a lot of instructional videos, and after buying all those,
they didn't work.
Don't buy them. Just learn one skill at a time off of YouTube or Google or even AI. I've actually, with these Fuji cameras, I've had a couple things where I can't find in the menu. AI is like streamlined it for me way better than YouTube ever could.
I try to steer away from asking AI too many things, because sometimes they will say things wrong. But again, if you just Google your very specific question, someone has had that issue before, most likely, or something similar. So going into the forums, even though as much as I criticize Reddit and the mods and etc., a lot of people on Reddit will have the solution right there.
Yeah, but AI, I used to do that, and it used to take like 30 minutes to figure out a menu setting with the camera. AI is literally 30 seconds. I ask it the question. Even if I don't ask it properly, it seems to know what I'm asking. At least for camera settings on my Fuji camera, it works phenomenally well. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you, Fletcher. Thank you, everybody else that stayed for the production talk.
thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. I was supposed to only broadcast on Monday. Next week it's going to be Tuesday, but I actually may have to keep the show after posting a couple of videos. The YouTube algorithm kind of promotes us as a live show, I'm noticing, and it won't promote our edited videos, at least not yet. So I may keep the live show and make clips until I have enough of a catalog in the video section so YouTube knows to kind of promote our videos as well.
But 9:15 Central tonight for the politics show with both of us. You turned it on now.
Oh, I turned it on.
It's been off.
Oh my God. Why didn't you tell me?
Because I just noticed.
Oh, I'm trying to turn it off.
And 8 p.m. for the Spanish only show on Not in the Guy in His
That's the best part of my set.
Yes. Oh, also Fletcher Williams, thank you for always reminding us. Says like, share, and subscribe. Yes, thank you. I always
Adios.
feel awkward saying that. Have a good day.